What's up, guys? It's Ty here, and today I have the Week 10 college football recap for you guys. And yeah, why I'm like this. I think there were 7 top 25 matchups this week, tying the most ever in college football history, I do believe. Quote me if I am wrong, but let's get into this. We had some Tuesday night Maction. Oh, I love that they say Maction. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. But we had Bowling Green pick up their second victory of the year. They beat Kent State 44-16. Here are the stats. I don't really want to go too crazy into these games, these like smaller games, but so I'll kind of try to breeze through those games. And then we had Ohio, who's actually really good in the MAC. They are 7-2. They beat Miami of Ohio 45-26. Roik, he had 6 touchdowns for Ohio. Jeez, Nathan Rourke, I can't even say his name. Billy Ball had 350 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air. All 3 of those touchdowns going to James Gardner, who had 166 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air. Wow, that's really, really good. Central Michigan beat Western Michigan 35-28, anchored by a 21-point fourth quarter comeback. Gee, Central Michigan, I wish my team could have done the same, but they didn't. Jarvian Franklin, on the ground, he had 228 yards and 2 touchdowns for Western Michigan. Cody Willis for Central Michigan had 140 yards and a touchdown. On to Thursday night, in a big game in the MAC West. MAC West. Yeah, they are in the MAC. No, they're in the MAC East. I'm stupid. No, they are on the MAC West. I'm not dumb. Toledo beats Northern Illinois 27-17. Terry Swanson for Heisman. He had 116 yards and 3 touchdowns. Deontay Johnson had 166 yards. But Terry Swanson had an amazing run. I actually do think Terry Swanson, he's a junior right now. No, he's actually sophomore, I believe. I think he's going to be a nice second and third round pick. It's going to be like he's cut from that Kareem Hunt cloth, so I think it's going to be, he's a little more agile than Kareem Hunt and faster, but Kareem Hunt, obviously a little bit more well-rounded. But yeah, Toledo 8-1 on the year, guys. Please rank them AP polls. I'm begging you. And Western Michigan beat Ball State 56-14. All right. Temple beat Navy 34-23. Navy of last 3 straight, I do believe, not looking good. Zach Abbey could not do anything on the ground. Temple shut him down. Adonis Jennings, what a name, 127 yards and 2 touchdowns for Temple. Troy moves to 7-2 on the year. They beat Idaho 24-21. Pretty close game. And on Friday, we had the number 23 ranked Memphis Tigers. They beat Tulsa 41-14. And yeah, Riley Ferguson 27 for 39, 298 yards and 4 touchdowns. Florida Atlantic undefeated in the Conference USA. They beat the Marshall Thundering Herd 30-25. What a weird score line. Devin Singletary for FAU had 203 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Utah gets back into it. They end up beating UCLA 48-17. Tyler Huntley was 15 for 22, 234 yards, and 4 touchdowns for Utah. Bounce back game for the Utes. Zach Moss also had 2 touchdowns on the ground for the Utes. Now on to Saturday. This happened. Iowa beat Ohio State 55-24. Nathan Stanley looked like he was the best quarterback in college football, I swear. It did not feel like he did. He was 20 for 31, 226 yards, 5 touchdowns. He felt like he had 500 yards and 52 touchdowns. It was 17-17. Then they scored 31 unanswered points. It's Ohio State's first loss in the Big Ten, so they could still win the Big Ten championship. But, I'm a fan, and there's 2 losses, and the season is sadly over because there are 2 losses, unless Ohio State becomes the first 2-loss team to go in the college football playoff. But I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're a top 4 team this year. I originally thought that with 1 loss, but after this, I don't think so, because we can't. Just can't. I don't. Maybe I'm just saying that. Maybe this is Iowa's night. It was in Kinnick. I don't know, but I do think it is over. But I still think we can make the Rose Bowl. So hey, nothing wrong with the Rose Bowl. Georgia moves to 9-0. They beat South Carolina 24-10. No real crazy stats in that game. Not really much to talk about that. Georgia just keep on rolling. Alabama take care of business against rival at LSU. Jalen Hurts actually did not throw for that much, but again, no really crazy stats here. Just Alabama going through business. Didn't really watch the game. Didn't want to. 24-10. Just kind of was done with college football after Ohio State, but I hope you guys can probably understand that. Notre Dame ends up beating Wake Forest 48-37. They allow 37 points to Wake Forest. I still don't think Notre Dame should be a top 3 team, but obviously right now they probably beat Ohio State as of right now, but that's just me. Chase Claypool, 180 yards and a touchdown for Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, they play Miami next week. We'll talk about Miami in a second. Clemson beat NC State in NC State 38-31. Ryan Finley had 338 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air. But, man, it came down to the final drive. NC State, they ended up getting this first down, but they ran an illegal formation. I'm like, no, it was so sad. And NC State suffers another loss. Is that their first loss in the ACC? Yes, it is their first loss in the ACC, but unless Clemson loses another one and they win out, they cannot win the ACC. Clemson 8-1 on the year. This was a game. In Bedlam, Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State 62-52. Baker Mayfield, 598 yards and 5 touchdowns. Justice Hill, 228 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Marquise Brown, 9 receptions, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Guys. The game was tied at 38 at halftime. Then it slowed. Then Oklahoma led the third, and then they ended up winning the game. But Jesus, what a game right there. So this is why the Ohio State loss feels okay. It hurts. It was a blowout, so it didn't hurt as much. But it didn't hurt after a while. But this makes it feel better. Michigan State ends up beating Penn State 27-24. The Spartans upset them. Brian Lewerke had 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Felton Davis III had 181 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. I'm sorry, Jake. It just makes me feel a little bit better. But, hey, I mean, Ohio State plays Michigan State next week. So, if Michigan State beats Ohio State, Michigan State will be leading the Big Ten East. And that's probably what nobody expected at the beginning of the year. I'm just saying. I still think Penn State and Ohio State are both better than Michigan State. This is just just because Michigan State beats Penn State doesn't mean they're better. I still think Penn State's better. That's just my opinion. Okay. TCU beat Texas 24-10. I thought this would be more of a little bit of a trap game for TCU, but heck no, they handled them pretty easily. Wisconsin, after being down 10-0, they ended up rolling the Hoosiers 45-17. Jonathan Taylor could be one of the freshmen. He's probably going to be a freshman All-American, in my opinion, having a great year. 29 carries, 183 yards, and a touchdown. The U is back, baby. They beat Virginia Tech 28-10. They made Josh Jackson look silly. Cam Phillips had 101 yards for Virginia Tech in the air, but that was not enough. Travis Homer had 95 yards and a touchdown for the U. Washington, after going down 3-0, scored 38 unanswered points to murder Oregon 38-3. Dante Pettis breaks the college football record. He has now 9 punt return touchdowns. And he also had 4 receptions, 181 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Myles Gaskin, 123 yards, and a touchdown. Jake Browning, decent game as well. Auburn ended up beating Texas A&M 42-27. Kerryon Johnson, 145 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Auburn, probably right now the best 2-loss team in the nation. I mean, I know Penn State and Ohio State both have 2 losses, but I guess they're going to put the Auburn ahead of both of them, in my opinion. That's what I think. Iowa State loses. They lost to West Virginia. We kind of could have saw this coming. It was 20-16. Iowa State, they were down 20-3 at half, but they almost surged back to win, but they could not. Will Grier was too good. 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kerryon White, 167 yards and a touchdown. It's Kevin White's brother who plays for the Bears. Mississippi State almost lost to freaking UMass, by the way. Remember UMass that was making fun of them? They almost lost them. They won 34-23. Nick Fitzgerald, though, 135 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He's their quarterback. USC beat Arizona 49-35, ending Arizona's amazing run, though. Sam Darnold looked great, 20 for 26, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ronald Jones, 194 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. What a game from him. UCF moves to 8-0 on the year. They beat SMU in a close one, 31-24. I think SMU is actually a pretty decent team, in my opinion. Mackenzie Milton, 412 yards and a touchdown in the air. Adrian Killins Jr. had 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of those being a 64-yard score, obviously, as we see that. And, yeah, and then the final, we're going to try to breeze through these other games. In the final, Washington State beat Stanford. Didn't expect that. Now the Pac-12 is wide open because Stanford was leading, but now it's wide open. They win 24-21 in a close one. Luke Falk, 337 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air, and Bryce Love was shut down. He still got a touchdown, but it wasn't enough. Missouri ends up beating Florida 45-16. The terrible Missouri, they get their first SEC victory, and this is the first game without Jim McElwain. Or did I say that right? I think I said that right. Florida not looking good, 3-5 on the year. They might not even make a bowl game. This would be the first time I've ever seen Florida not make a freaking bowl game in my lifetime. Larry Roundtree had 3 touchdowns. Nice. Kansas State beat Texas Tech in overtime, 42-35. Nick Shimanek had 405 yards and 4 touchdowns. Kiki Kuti had 189 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it was not enough, and Kansas State won. Vanderbilt, they beat Western Kentucky 31-17. Cool. Oh, this was such a good game. Baylor wins their first game of the year and their first Big 12 victory. They beat Kansas 38-9. What did you expect? Kansas is now 0-6 in the Big 12. Rip their skins. Purdue finally finds another victory. They beat Illinois. Oh, God. Ohio State plays Illinois this year. Watch Illinois win the Eli Buck. I'll cry. I'll cry. 29-10 victory for Purdue. Houston beat Eastern Carolina 52-27 in a high-scoring affair. Gardner Minshew had 463 yards and 3 touchdowns for ECU. 52 for 68. Dang. Florida State barely beat Syracuse, man. After Syracuse beat Clemson, and then they just haven't really done much after that. Cam Akers for the Seminoles, 199 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Steve Ishmael, 143 yards and a touchdown with 12 receptions for the Orange. Virginia, after losing to Pitt, beat Georgia Tech 40-32 or 40-36. Didn't expect. I thought Georgia Tech would actually win that game. Taquan Marshall, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Louisiana Monroe beat Appalachian State 52-45. They outscored Appalachian State 17-7 in the fourth quarter. Dang it, Appalachian State loses their first game in the Sun Belt. R.J. Turner had 134 yards and 2 touchdowns in the air. Jalen Moore, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground for Appalachian State. All right, Georgia Southern, 0-8. They almost got their first victory against Georgia State. They lost 21-17. UAB Merckx Rice, 52-21. Spencer Brown had 140 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And UAB is now bowl eligible. Yay. New Mexico State beat Texas State. Cool. South Florida beat Connecticut. Boo. We don't like that. Rutgers beat Maryland. Rutgers has 3 wins in the Big Ten. What is going on? What? Why? Why is it? This should not be happening. Remember when Maryland beat Texas? I do too. The Maryland should not be winning a game. No, that should not happen. Old Dominion beat Charlotte 6-0. 6-0. 2 3-run shots. Goose egg. All right. North Texas barely beats La Tech. I like calling them La Tech. They win 24-23 in a close one. Ooh, that's a nice game. Northwestern breaks the Cornhuskers' heart and Tanner's hearts. Sorry, Tanner. They win 31-24, riding on the highs after beating Michigan State. Maybe Northwestern can surge back. Maybe they'll beat Wisconsin. Actually, no, never mind. Wisconsin already beat them. Maybe something crazy will happen. Northwestern will do something crazy. I don't know. Justin Jackson, 154 yards and a touchdown for the Wildcats. Army moves to 7-2 on the year. They beat Air Force, throwing up a goose egg, 21-0. Ahmad Bradshaw, not the one you're thinking of, 265 yards and a touchdown for Army. Jeez. Ole Miss beats Kentucky 37-34. Benny Snell Jr. for Kentucky had 176 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, but it wasn't enough. Jordan Teamu, 382 yards and 4 touchdowns on the air. Jeez, what a freaking game. Arkansas barely beat freaking Coastal Carolina 39-38. That could have been a very, very, very embarrassing game. No, Cincinnati beat Tulane 17-16. That's sad. I don't like to see that. I hate seeing Tulane lose. Louisiana beats South Alabama 19-14. That's cool. California beat Oregon State 37-23. Patrick Laird had 214 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Utah State beat New Mexico 24-10. UNLV beat Hawaii 31-23. Boise State rolls against Nevada. They win 41-14. Wyoming and the Josh Allen's. Josh Allen's really not been looking good lately. In the snow, actually. They beat Colorado State. They lose their second in a row, 16-13. Florida International beat UTSA 14-7. Tennessee actually wins the game. They win 24-10 against Southern Mississippi. They win a game against the Conference USA opponent. Wow, that's really good. Middle Tennessee beat UTEP. UTEP 0-9. Will UTEP get a victory this year? Please, UTEP. I want to see UTEP and Kansas play. I wonder who would win that game. Probably Kansas. Michigan ended up beating Minnesota 33-10. They win the Little Brown Jug. Carrion Higgin, 200 yards. Kigden, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. I didn't watch the game. Arizona State bounces back. They win 41-30. They beat Colorado. San Diego State murders San Jose State 52-7. Rashard Penny, 234 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And then Fresno State beats the abysmal BYU 22-13. Now, the rank, I'm doing this, you see it's 10:45 a.m. The rankings are not up yet, like the new AP poll yet, or obviously we're not going to know the new college football rankings, but they're not up yet, so, I mean, we can't see that. Here are the college football playoff rankings. You guys have probably already seen these. Take pause if necessary. But, yeah, guys, this is going to be it for me. If you went on to enjoy the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube. If you haven't already, this is Tyler signing off saying, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Have a good one. Later.